Hey, it's Mr. Keys, and today we're going to continue looking at shadows with the 16th note grid and chaining shadows. So without further ado, let's start. So the first thing that we're going to look at is, well, now we're in the 16th note grid, so we're talking about one, a half, this is B2, B3, B4. Now, we can do shadows in two different ways. We can either do a shadow before or after, like we talked about. It can be one level before or even two levels before. If it's two levels before, then we're following the 8th note grid. Because remember, if I was to draw this out in 8th note grid, okay, this is the equivalent. So we have our dotted lines here. And the 8th note grid is just going to divide it in two. All right, so we can see how that would be 3, that would be and, that would be 4, that would be and. So that's how it lines up. All right, so we can shadow with an 8th note shadow, which would mean if I'm doing a pre-shadow to this one, I would do it here. And a pre-shadow to this one, I would do it here, 2 behind. Okay, that would be our 8th note shadow. Or we can do a 16th note shadow, which would be 1 spot behind in the 16th note grid. So this is shadowing this is shadowing this, and this is shadowing this. So let's see how this sounds. So let's write out our counts so that we don't get too confused. 3, half, 4, half, So here we go. We're starting from here. So 1, half, 2, half, 3, half, 4, half. Now I'll play that a little faster so that you get exactly how it sounds. 1, a half, 2, a half, 3, a half, 4, a half. All right, and remember, velocity of these notes is always softer than the velocity of the main notes. All right, so let's go and let's try that again. Let's try a different beat. So let's do a bunch of pre-shadows and post-shadows. So I'm going to do a mix of them. Okay, so here's a pre-shadow, here's a post-shadow. Let's do another post-shadow to a pre-shadow. And we'll do a post-shadow here. And then this is going to be a pre-shadow to this guy. All right, so here we go. 1, a half, 2, a half, 3, a half, 4, a half, 1, a half, 2, a half, 1, a half, 2, 1, a half, 2, a half, 3, a half, 4, a half, 1, 2, a half, 3, a half, 4, a half. It's actually kind of complicated. All right, so, but that gives you an idea of how much meatier this beat sounds just by thinking about these things as pre-shadows and post-shadows. Okay, so let's try one more beat. So I will do let's do a post-shadow, an 8th note post-shadow to this guy. So that means 8th note 2 over, so that's going to be here. It's going to be the post-shadow. And then let's do a pre-shadow to this guy. And a post-shadow right away. Nothing here. Let's do a pre-shadow to this one. And pre-shadow to the beginning. Okay, so here's how this sounds. 1, a half, 2, a half, 3, a half, 4, a half, 1, a half, 2, a half, 3, a half, 4, a half, 2. Okay, so you get the idea. All right, so these beats actually sound pretty good, just by thinking of these things as shadows, like we said before. So one last concept that we're going to go over, and that would be chaining shadows. So what does that mean? Well, this is a shadow to this guy, but we can also chain it with a shadow before. Now, how long can the chain be? Well, as long as you want it to be. But remember, the idea is not to fill in every single part of the grid. You want there to be some room to breathe, because that also adds interest. So I'm not going to do it too much. Let's do it like this. So here we have a post to another post, which could technically also be looked at as the 8th note pre to this guy, because it's 2 slots behind. Okay, and I'm really going to fill this one up. So this will be post. Let's do post. And then this one will be the pre of this guy. Okay, so here we go. So this is, oh, okay, bear with me. 1, a half, a 2, a half, a 3, a half, a 4, a half, a 1, a half, a 2, a half, a 3, a half, a 4, a half. Okay, so it sounds very much like a rock beat. Here's how it sounds. Okay, so that's pretty much how the beat sounds. It's a pretty decent beat. All right, so hopefully that gives you some more ideas in terms of how you can use shadows, and experiment, play around with it. And that's pretty much it for today. See you next time.